Now, a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
Hello everybody, meteorologist Hutch Johnson with a quick weather update. Severe storms firing in the James River Valley, now moving into the Valley City area as we are heading into our midday hour. We're going to take you right to the radar and we'll show you a look at where the risk of storms is greatest. Number one, where you see the yellow colors including Fargo, Moorhead, southeast North Dakota. The Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma has tagged as an area of the greatest risk for severe storms as we go through the day. The best chance is going to be as we go through the afternoon and even into the evening hours tonight. Hot, muggy air with dew points in the 70s. You can see here, look at that dew point in Fergus Falls near the 80-degree mark. That is muggerific air. Look at this, 82, the temperature in Wahpeton over 81. Our humid fields adding to the moisture of the air. There's the line of thunderstorms forming off to the west just outside of Jamestown heading into Valley City. There is a severe thunderstorm warning. I will turn that on and turn off the other content over here so we can see more clearly what we are dealing with heading into the midday hour. First thing to keep in mind, the storms today are going to bring all modes of severe weather potentially, particularly these early day storms. The pink area here, that is the area where we do have the greatest risk to see some thunderstorms with the hail in them here. So here's the hail core. This too says that the hail diameter could be as great as 2 inches or maybe even a little bit more. This is considerable damage threat for the storms making their way into the area as we speak. So if you are in the Valley City area, notice this white line here. The track of this storm is heading right into Valley City. Now is a great time, if you're in Valley City, to prepare for 70 mile per hour wind gusts and ping pong ball sized hail based on the current radar data information. So up to 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter is this storm. Checking out the movement of this storm, that cell's moving northeast at 33 miles per hour. The National Weather Service's text here, let's go over that together. Number one, Grand Forks says this storm is going to affect Ransom County in the northwestern quadrant, as well as you folks in Barnes County. The warning is until 12:15. Moving northeast, as we just showed you, 33 miles per hour. I'll time out where it will be. The main threats are the gusty winds and the ping pong ball sized hail with regards. This is a radar indicator severe thunderstorm. So keep that in mind, moving northeast 30 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. Now, Hutch will time this out for you here as we head into our midday hour. Notice the leading edge of the hail core is right here. So I'm going to time it from there, moving in toward the Valley City area. So here we go, starting here, moving in this general direction. We're going to put it at 35 miles per hour. This should help us with delays in time on the scans and all of the delay and broadcast kind of stuff. This will be in Valley City in 25 minutes. So right at high noon, you can expect this storm to approach from the southwest. Also, an item of note, the gustiest of winds will be approaching from the southwest as well. So this storm will burp out wind and it will travel in the direction of the storm this way. So your winds will be from the southwest. Prepare for very gusty wind and the potential for some very large hail. Not everyone in this warned area is going to see the huge hail. Keep that in mind. That warning area does extend all the way up into Sanborn. We have another cell up there that's capable of just over 1 inch diameter hail as it moves through northern parts of Barnes County. Thanks so much for joining. If you do have a question, let me know. Good morning, Betty. Good to have you on from Cormorant. I'll look at Ryan. Thank you for your sharing of stars. And Carol says, thank you. And I thank you for watching, Cheryl. Thank you very much. Now, let's take a look at a couple other towns. Oriska, 37 minutes away. So this is moving through a greater portion of the county. This is Barnes County. It's exiting Stutzman County, so no warning there. And it does include areas just north of Lisbon out there. So if you are in the area of northern, let's say Sargent County, you'll want to make sure that you're prepared for Ransom County. You'll want to make sure that you're preparing for the gusty straight line winds from this storm as well. Now, this leg of the storm here also moving northeast, so the warning does not include you folks in Lisbon, but if you are out at Fort Ransom or the park out there, you want to be prepared for some very windy thunderstorms. The hail on these southern storms not as intense. Now, I'm going to take a look at a couple of other factors as we take a look at this storm's characteristics. We've looked at that hail core right now. I'm looking at some spin in the storm to see if it's there. There's a little bit evident from the Mayville radar. That that is basically in the area just south of Valley City. So we got wind blowing away from the radar and towards. It's very weak, but it is there. There is some spin with that cell. And, that doesn't mean a tornado is happening, but it's something that we're watching here for you real carefully on Hutch's Weather. See if there's any other questions popping up. Again, this is what makes Hutch's Weather great. Also, if you have a report of severe weather, I'd like to invite you to share that on Hutch's Weather. Again, you can go to the photos section at the bottom of the page right down there, and you will find details that other folks have uploaded here. You can either view them or upload your own by pushing the little blue button in the upper right-hand corner that says upload. And please keep in mind, if you're uploading data on the photo page here, it's really important to make sure you're telling us the what, where, when, and why. Not necessarily the why, but where are you located? If you're outside of Valley City, are you 2 miles west, 2 miles north? Exactly where are you? And then maybe measuring the hail size and stuff. That really does help all of us know what these storms are capable of producing. Now, I'm sure many of you are wondering where these storms are heading and will they head to my town or not. Let's go ahead and turn this back to the regular radar data, and I will show you in South Dakota there is another cluster of storms there, so let's get to those. These will be heading across the southern Red River Valley and making their way towards Sisseton. They just issued a warning for these storms just now as we speak. So if you are in Marshall County, South Dakota, Britain, there is a hailer making its way towards you. This storm is moving northeast towards Britain, Veblen, and Lake City right now. This one is very strong, destructive 80 mile per hour winds are expected from this storm. This is a very windy thunderstorm here moving right into the Britain area right now. Please batten down the hatches, tie down the lawn furniture. If you have some time in Veblen to prepare for this storm, if you have a trampoline outside or whatnot, make sure that that's not going anywhere, and prepare for gusty winds, large hail, and look at the copious amounts of lightning with these thunderstorms. Webster, a warning for your area. This cell here, as you see these cluster of thunderstorms here moving almost due east through northeast South Dakota. Will these hit Fargo? This batch has a shot. This batch will be making its way into southern Richland County here shortly. Notice that northerly tilt to those storms. Hey, Jessica, thanks so much for sharing stars. And I need you to pass the word that Hutch's Weather is right here for you, doing weather updates right now. So severe storms heading through southeast North Dakota, northeast South Dakota, moving at a general pace of about 30 miles per hour. Approximate time for the Bagley area. Let me show you, Jake, a quick look at the areas where these storms are heading momentarily. Right now, I want to handle the warning and talk to folks here about exactly where this storm is heading. Northeasterly, about 35 miles per hour. Let's put this 80 mile per hour winds. Okay, that's some ridiculous winds. Lake City, you can expect this storm to be over you in 27 minutes. Prepare for large hail upwards of just over an inch in diameter, 80 mile per hour winds, a destructive and windy storm likely here. Veblen, 43 minutes away from you. On the outside, it could be working its way towards New Effington, but that's a long ways for a thunderstorm to time. So let's keep you up to date right here on Hutch's Weather. Did you know you can get the latest weather information by following on my brand new Facebook page, hutchesweather.com? If you were to go to hutchesweather.com real quickly, I do want to point out that the page shows you right now any warning in your area. So if you type in that you're going to allow Hutch's website here to follow your location or have access to your location, whether you're on a mobile device or you're on your laptop or computer. Mine is locked into Moorhead because that's where Hutch is broadcasting live from Moorhead right now, Moorhead, Minnesota. The temperatures are warm. You can see the latest. Look at the top of the page. It says live right now. There is a update happening right now, and it's not a late evening overnight storm. This title is not what we're talking about. I must have mistaken the title on that. My apologies. This is all about a storm system that's moving through right now. So go to Hutch's Weather. You'll see the latest live right there. If you don't happen to follow on Facebook, I appreciate you passing the word that Hutch's Weather is on. Where it's going on the radar right now. This storm heading into southern Roberts County in northeast South Dakota. It's moving off to the east at about 40 miles per hour, so I'll give this one just a little bit more room. The leading edge of the hail is here, moving east-northeast at 40 miles per hour, not 450. Don't want them kind of typographical errors. Summit, it will be near Ortley in 7 minutes, Summit in 20 minutes, and Wilmot in about 34 minutes. So there's some towering thunderstorms out there moving toward the I-29 corridor in parts of eastern South Dakota right now. Those storms are mainly rural. Now, let's get to the question. Where are these storms going? Will they make it to Lakes Country? There is a risk for our southern counties right here, southeast North Dakota, eastern South Dakota, Lakes Country of Minnesota for severe weather tonight. Here's the absolute very latest you can get in the forecast before the noon hour. So you're getting an update when you need it. So you can watch Hutch's weather whenever you are, wherever you are. It's sticky, humid air, and it continues across the valley. This model just coming in right now. Let's take a look. It does have the storms forming in the James River Valley. Notice it doesn't show too much of a intense activity working out of Barnes County there. So I don't believe this model. This model is not off to a good start. Let me get to another one here and see if another model run was a little bit more on track here. Let's tie this model in and see what we got. So as we there we go. So this model here a little earlier did a better job showing some Barnes County storms in around that 1600 hours in Europe. You subtract 5, that's 11. It's 11:46. That's not too bad. These storms should be moving towards Grand Forks and the Red River Valley as we approach 18Z minus 5. That's 1300 hours. That's 1 in the afternoon. So around the midday hour between noon and 1, pushing through the Red River Valley. As they move north, the air isn't as intensely unstable. It is intensely unstable down here in the southern counties, and there could be some spin with these storms. More storms fire up as we get heading home from work in the southern valley, and will push into parts of Minnesota later tonight. This backward C shape that you see here indicates some very destructive winds. So the counties in the path of these will be anywhere south of Fargo and Detroit Lakes, including Fargo and Detroit Lakes, and point south toward the Twin Cities and the I-94 corridor, including you in Lakes Country. So these cells over the Fargo area right now look like they may be heading in that northeasterly direction towards Hillsboro, maybe towards the Northwood area and Thompson. And the storms that are heading through South Dakota are moving into Lakes Country, Wilkin County, Traverse County. Very large hail and damaging straight line winds that could be pretty incredible as well. Hutch's weather continuing. Let's go ahead and take a look at your questions here. Grand Forks could sure use a cool down. That humidity is very crazy. Indeed, it is. Happy hump day to you, John. Good to see you on board. Enderlin is asking dark clouds west. Let's take a look at some of these storms in South Dakota from the DOT cams here, and then we'll take a look at a couple of the storms in North Dakota from the DOT cams to show you that front row seat of what's working its way in. Now, we're going to take a look at this storm here close to the Berlin and Lake City area. That's where the storm is roaming in the prairies. And you can see the dark skies here when I pull this full screen. This is near Lake City, and that storm is going to be capable of 80 mile per hour winds that's heading in your general direction. Let's see if another view shows it. Do you see over the top of the trees? It's a little grainy here, but you see the light underneath the clouds? That is the updraft part of the storm. That's the windy part of the storm. That's what's going to be coming your way. And indeed, wind will be the #1 threat from those storms. You can see more dark skies there from the Lake City area. I do not have a view from Britain, South Dakota, but let's take a look at a couple other South Dakota cameras, shall we? Let's see if I can get in just a little bit tighter. It might be this... that Lake City camera might be the best view we got. Let's see what's coming your way in Sisseton. Now you can see definitely the dark clouds. This is looking to the south of Sisseton, where there is a line of storms heading towards the Goodwill area and towards Webster right now. Now let's see what it looks like to the other direction. This is looking north. Not much to worry about there right now. This is looking north a little bit, more west of north. And this is a look out to the I can't tell. That looks like it might be looking off to the east, so a little cloudy in that direction. So we have some nasty storms heading. Thank you so much for sharing stars with Hutch. That really does go a long ways to, well, helping Hutch support Hutch's weather. Taking a look, any North Dakota storms coming to Fargo? Donna, if you missed out, yes, there's some storms in the general direction of Fargo as we take a look at the radar, and then we'll look at the DOT camera pictures here. Another quick update from the radar. These storms are generally moving northeasterly, though. So there's a chance that these southern storms that'll slide north of Lisbon will be heading in our direction. We will have to watch them very closely. The strongest cell just south of Valley City. The wind gust potential with these storms is upward of 65 to 70 miles per hour. I'm going to take a look at the velocities that the radar is picking up. This will not be a direct measurement of the wind because the winds are blowing what we call across the beam, the radar beam. But these are some values of velocity that the radar is measuring: 30, 40 mile per hour winds, Sanborn 50 mile per hour winds. And this is aloft. And that energy can, in isolated places, get even stronger. Let me see if I've seen any brighter colors in here over the last few scans. There they are. Yeah, it's intensifying a little bit as it works its way off to the east. So wind gusts to 60 miles per hour, hail upwards of 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter from a couple of these cells. That cell is moving in the general direction of you folks in Valley City, and it will be moving there. As the crow flies, though, to answer your question, yes, these storms are moving in the general direction of Fargo. It'll be the ones near Lisbon that'll be moving in our way, and they're 56 miles away, and they're moving at about 25 miles per hour, and I've just gotten a new warning. Let's see what we got now. New event, thunderstorm warning. Okay, let's go ahead and see what's pulling up on our radar. Oh, yep, it's a South Dakota event here. So we've just issued a severe thunderstorm warning now, the National Weather Service has, for the Sisseton area, Sisseton, South Dakota. You are in a severe thunderstorm warning now as this line of storms is moving out of Webster, and it has this backward C shape to it right here. So there is a very windy part of the storm just blasting out of Webster, and it's causing the radar to bend or bow. This is called a bow echo. Those are no good. The strongest winds are usually along this boundary here. So we've got a very windy line of storms blowing through Webster. What about Fergus? You can see that this cluster of storms will be moving through Sisseton towards Morris, Benson, and Grant County and southern Otter Tail County eventually. So to answer your question, yes, you are going to be in the path of these storms. As I zoom out, I'll draw with Hutch's pencil. This is an exclusive. See the movement of these storms to the north and east. They're going to change, and they're going to evolve along the way. They may even expand. But if you are in between these lines, the present snapshot shows these storms moving in this general direction. This is where they'll be in about an hour's time, the Lake Traverse area right here, okay? So as we go into the time frame of, let's see, noon. Let me see, why is my... There we go. I got to get my clock. Let me get the clock back up there for you. So as we go into the time frame of midday, that's when they'll be making their way towards and into, one in the afternoon. They'll be making their way into the Red River Valley. It is noon right here. So that's what's going on. Taylor, it does look like it'll be just a little ways before they get into the Fergus Falls area. So as the crow flies, these storms are moving a little faster here in South Dakota. Southern Otter Tail County, including that area south of Fergus Falls, is 70 miles away. These are moving at 35 miles per hour, 2 hours away. 11:50, 12, 1:50. Hutch's gut says somewhere close to 1:45, they'll be making their way into southern Otter Tail County, Grant County a little before that. So that's my answer to you. Crookston to McIntosh, Katie's wondering about that. I'll take a quick look at that before we bounce and take a look at the storm's rotation. We have showers and thunder showers in the Grand Forks area right now. Those are non-severe. The energy in the atmosphere up north is a little bit lower. These storms are in an atmosphere that is very volatile as we head into the afternoon hours. I will go ahead and post on here if I can post a look at, let me take a look here. Okay, so I'm going to post a little bit of modeled data up here for you so you can look at some modeled data right now, and let's show you where the energy is in the atmosphere to make thunderstorms. And then you'll get a chance to see what we have here. So let me load this up. It's going to take just a second. And as it does so, I'm going to load up what's called CAPE. And that's the convective atmospheric energy. It's that upward vertical motion developed by thunderstorms. And if I plot that for you, you'll be able to see these areas, and the colors that you will see here will represent those areas. I'm going to need to go back one model run here. Let's go back And I didn't like that model run, if I recall, so I'm going to go back to this one. Here we go. It's loading up right now. Thanks for your patience. How does the Red Hawks game look for tonight? I'm going to say right now my gut is good, but let's look together at where the energy goes today. See it? Okay. The bright colors is ridiculous amounts of energy in the atmosphere. This is going to fuel very, very gusty straight line winds and some enormous hail. And yes, we could see some spinning storms produce thunderstorms capable of tornadoes. This is just looking at the upward lift. The more the upward lift, the larger the hail and the stronger the downdraft winds can be. So meteorologically speaking, let me put this into a mode where you can see the clock here. So pardon me while I pull up my model guidance page. And this shows that at the midday hour, which is where we're approaching, we have this energy moving into the Fargo area. These storms are tracking that energy. Look at what's going on in South Dakota. Storms are forming in that area where we do have those pink colors. Now, as we step forward in time into the afternoon, notice how the energy clears the FM area and pushes into Lakes country. So your best chance of storms in Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls, Grant County, and Point South will be as we go to the early afternoon hours. There will be thunderstorms up north, but these yellow colors, lower energy, not zero energy. We could still see a severe thunderstorm up there. See these little red pockets here near the lakes area? That's the Beltrami County area there and the upper and lower lakes up there. So we definitely have a risk for some areas being unstable, but the greatest risk is where you see the hot spot. This hot spot here, the energy in the atmosphere is enormously high. As we go towards evening time here for the Red Hawks game, things should quiet down with regards to the energy in the atmosphere, but will it quiet down with regards to thunderstorms? Here's a look at the reflectivity or future radar, and we'll just let this load up here. And as this moves through time, we'll start now around that midday hour. Let me back it up. Okay, midday, storms here. Model's doing pretty good. Storms move through. This is 3 in the afternoon. Still firing in South Dakota. This is the main event here. These could bring all modes of severe weather. Hail, damaging wind, and even tornadoes into the afternoon hours. Those will blast into southern Minnesota. Lakes country, storms. Down here, ridiculously strong storms. A Boeing line segment, meaning these will be capable potentially for what we would call a wind storm event, working its way through southwestern parts of Minnesota and the I-94 corridor of Minnesota as well. Notice that as we go into the later evening hours, our risk of severe storms here in Fargo will wane. It doesn't mean we will be free from storms. So I want to let you know, look what's going on out near the Missouri River Valley from Bismarck to Pierre, Lake Oahe, Lake Sakakawea doesn't see much, but Oahe does. So there'll be a few spotty thunderstorms on the backside. Notice what's going on up near Grand Forks as well. Can't rule them out. The risk of these being severe tonight, not very good. What do you think around 5 o'clock, Clearwater Fair? Hey, Bagley, I just drove through Bagley here this weekend. Let's go back to 5 o'clock. Beautiful area, beautiful country. There it is. Clearwater County, Bagley right there on Highway 2, and this is it. So for the afternoon and evening, I can't rule out hit and miss storms. Models don't do a fantastic job of exactly pinpointing where a storm will be, but it does a decent job of the line usually. And that line will have a better chance at moving through in the early evening and late afternoon. And then it should quiet down in the Bagley area the way it looks now. Hi, Hutch. Spiritwood got a nice thunderstorm with nice rain. Good to know. Deborah, thank you. What's Eric say? Eric says, what do you think for the Clearwater Fair? Just answered that. Thanks for your questions. And we answered about the area for the Fargo Moorhead beautiful baseball game. Gosh, what a great night, because we should see some of the humidity get out of here just a little bit. 2200s reported from the Spiritwood area. Okay, so let's go back to the radar here, shall we, real quickly, and we'll button up the latest on the radar data. And I will get off of your broadcast screen here, and I'll be back. I'm here watching storms. I'm back in town after some much needed time off. And went fishing. I won't talk about my luck fishing, but at least I didn't put a lure in my a hand or ear or something like that. It was fun, though. Thanks, Deborah. I sure appreciate you. Now, a look at the latest radar from Mayville, North Dakota. Just garden variety showers in Grand Forks. The risk of storms there being severe, low. Highway 200, the risk of storms being severe there, low. I-94 and south, the risk of severe storms is increased. There's this afternoon event that's going to come through now, and as it works its way off to the east, our threat will exit into Lakes Country in Minnesota, and that's where it will stay. South Dakota will remain active throughout the evening hours, though. So if you're watching from South Dakota, anywhere from Pierre all the way through Redfield and Huron, Watertown, Brookings, those areas will have a great chance of some stout to severe thunderstorms firing up later tonight once again. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate you. The latest warning for Sisseton, this line of storms is making its way towards you. There are some very gusty winds. I did promise we'd look at some towers here from the standpoint of North Dakota to see the storms that are heading into Valley City. We'll do that momentarily. These storms are moving at a faster clip. I'm going to put them at 30 miles per hour blowing into the Sisseton area. This storm will be near Peaver in 22 minutes and Browns Valley in 35 minutes. So these are the areas of concern for that particular portion of the storm right there. There is a portion of the storm heading towards Sisseton as well, but I think this might be the windiest part of the storm right now, moving through central and southern Roberts County, South Dakota. So that's where those storms are. And look at this heater down on the far south side here that's pink, south of Webster, just north of Watertown. That thing is very large, and that's heading towards Millbank and Ortonville. Let's put that in there. That's not even in the warned area. Notice that? Sometimes these storms continue to evolve and develop as to the south side, and that's what we're seeing here. Moving at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. We'll calculate how long that takes to get into the Millbank area. It's still about 45 minutes away from Millbank, and Ortonville about 70 minutes away. Hutch will continue to monitor these. Here's a look at the North Dakota road report on those storms moving into South Dakota. Not that I'm worried about road conditions. I just want to see sky conditions as these storms are approaching Valley City. Not a lot of cameras there, but we do have the Ariska one. Let's take a look. There are dark skies off in the distance from Ariska. No rain that looks significant in the area. There we go. There's the edge of the towering storms that are the top of the storms that are blowing out in your general direction. That may be one of the only views. Let's look from air if that cloud is or camera is working. Yes, it is. So we see some dark lower clouds working their way in your general direction as well. There, the sky is completely dark out there. I'm assuming we're looking across Highway 38. So that's a look at those dark skies off to the west and northwest. So what's it look like in Jamestown as the storms are exiting? Let's see what they look like. Oh boy, look at the dark skies out there. So here you are looking across the I-94 corridor. This is working. I think that is looking off to the north, as a matter of fact. And then as we look off towards the south, the skies are dark as well. So I don't have a camera in a great spot here to see exactly into the teeth of the storm that's heading its way into the Valley City area, but those storms are certainly mean. These going to hold together through Fargo, do I think, Travis? They are heading right towards Fargo right now. And as you can see, Valley City being about 45 miles away, they are moving in our general direction. They're over Valley City right now. So in Valley City, let me know what kind of stuff you're seeing by posting here or uploading photos to my page. Let me go ahead and take a look at my website here and see if there's been any uploads of photos, because I can look at those in real time and get those out to you right now. So if, for instance, you are going to upload a photo on my page, I can put that up here right away and let folks know. Tim says, is West Fargo going to get hail? You know what? We don't have the capability to answer that question directly, because these hail storms, they build up, then the hail falls out. So it might be in a building mode when it's over Fargo, or it might be in a hailing mode. There is a decent chance of some very windy and hail-producing thunderstorms moving into the FM area here. Now, these storms, as the crow flies, for those of you wondering about Fargo-Moorhead, are actually about 48 miles away. From West Fargo, they're 45 miles away. So they're moving in our general direction. You can see the movement of these storms with the little white lines here. Put an arrowhead at the end of the line. That's the way it's moving. So this one, moving towards Tower City in Buffalo. This one moving down in that Enderlin area. And this one is very strong. I would think that this one could possibly have a continuation of a warning into southern parts of Cass County. The National Weather Service is all over that, and they're doing an outstanding job of keeping us informed with these storms. Nome and Fingal, these storms are over you. There's Enderlin, Fort Ransom. What are you seeing? If you have storms in your area, let folks know that you want to make sure that you're seeking shelter, interior room, stay away from windows. Very windy thunderstorms. I'm going to see if we've got any reports of wind coming in from the National Weather Service. Let's see. 75 mile per hour gust was reported with the storm that's moving into the Roberts County area. So 75 mile per hour gust from the storm that's moving towards Sisseton. That's these cells here. The risk of wind gusts they have at 80 miles per hour. So we can look at that. I can't measure the winds too accurately with the radar up here. We won't see the direct line winds since they're not moving directly toward the radar site. If we had a Doppler radar right smack dab in the city of Fargo, we could look right into those storms and we could see what kind of wind was coming. We do not. But I can tell you how fast the wind is blowing away from Aberdeen. Let's do that right now as we analyze this storm. This is up at cloud level. This is not at ground level. This does not mean the wind is this strong everywhere. But look at these bright hot colors here. Now, where the crosshair is where the instrument is telling me the measurement. So moving in towards Goodwill and point south, this is measuring 70 mile per hour winds in some of these hot spots here that are bright. So we'll slowly glide through. And yes, 71 to 72 mile per hour winds are being measured by the Doppler radar above the ground right now. This is heading right into the I-29 corridor. So if you're watching or hearing of this and you're a semi-tractor trailer driver and you're driving north-south, these winds will be coming at you from the west and they will be very strong potentially in spots. Not everybody's going to see this strong of wind, but where this storm collapses and that wind energy flattens out along the surface of the earth could be quite windy, enough to cause high-profile vehicles traveling north-south to possibly be overturned. Tree damage falling on houses could be possible from the storm that's blowing its way towards Goodwill right now. Let's move up to Lake City, Veblen, Clare, and Sisseton. Do you see this area of orange here and bright yellow? The wind speeds that are heading in towards Sisseton, there looks to be a little bit of a lower speed pocket in Sisseton, but just north towards Lake City, it looks like we've had some very heavy winds moving through. Look at the wind speeds, 80 mile per hour winds aloft. This is above the ground. A radar beam slants up at an angle and it's measuring the winds that are blowing away from the radar right there. Okay. So what we are seeing here is not far from the ground, but up at cloud level. Look at that, 97 miles per hour. So we've got 100 mile per hour winds or better right there, 106 mile per hour winds just outside of Veblen in the storm cloud that's moving over you right now. This wind could exceed 80 miles per hour at the ground, maybe even more, right? This energy that we're seeing in the upper level, that's the wind that's blowing aloft away. If there's hail coming down with it, it can mix that energy down toward the surface and you end up with some pretty ridiculous wind speeds in isolated places. Not everyone is going to see the gustiest of the winds along this warned area, but it looks like to Hutch right now, if I'm going to take this off right here, where we have this orangish shade, this is the gustiest wind and it's heading towards Veblen, heading towards Clare City, and I'm measuring winds on the Doppler radar in the cloud above you at over 100 miles per hour. Straight line winds can be terribly damaging. What about spinning winds? Do we have rotation in this storm? I'll take a look at that. The Weather Service is watching all of these storms very carefully. Yes, there are pockets of rotation along the Boeing line segment right here. That's not uncommon, where we get very fast winds, and next to it, some winds that are blowing slower causes a little spin up along the leading edge. So there is some spinning motion to the storm as it's working its way right here. It's where you see this area right here. So this is rural south of Clare City and north of Sisseton. So those are some very terrible windy storms there, and they still have ridiculous hail potential. Let's see what the Weather Service says. 80-mile-per-hour wind and destructive. I just showed you the Doppler radars measuring 107-mile-per-hour winds on the latest scan above the ground, not on the ground. So this is a very windy storm. This is a destructive storm, and it's heading in your general direction. So please keep that in mind as we go through the afternoon. We do have storms moving into Sisseton. There is a severe thunderstorm warning for you. We have storms that are pushing through Barnes County right now. Those storms are severe with hail and wind potential as well. Enderlin, it looks like the strong storm is pushing into you right now, batten down the hatches. This backward C shape right here would be indicative to me that there could be a very gusty bowing segment of wind between Enderlin and Lisbon right there that's giving the radar this shape. I'm going to look at spin in these storms up north and see, yes, there's a little weak and unorganized spin in the storm. So it's not uncommon for severe thunderstorms to sometimes produce spin ups. I'll be watching that very closely. Storms are exiting the Valley City area right now. It'd be interesting to know what kind of reports you have. I'm going to check my content right here and see if I've got any uploads for you of data. That's usually a good sign when I don't get information here. I'm going to double check the National Weather Service's stream here and see if they're getting measurements. 67-mile-per-hour wind gust at a personal station outside of the Roy Lake State Park nearing Veblen just a few minutes ago. So we're talking about 70-mile-per-hour winds, but again, aloft near Veblen, the winds we just showed you on the Doppler radar above the ground over 100 miles per hour. Hutch would not be surprised if we get some very destructive winds hitting the ground from those storms. So that is a look at the very latest. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. You can always get the latest as storms approach your area by logging on to my brand new website, hutchesweather.com. I'd love to have you over there. Check in, sign up at the top of the page with your email right here, and I will let you know if you supply your email, hutch.johnson. Okay, you put your full email address in there. I will not sell it. I won't trade it. I'm not going to do anything but contact you and let you know that I'm doing an update from time to time if it's real pertinent. So that's a function that we'll be adding to the website here as we go through. And you can see and watch the videos right here on the website, hutchesweather.com. Thanks for watching. Severe thunderstorms are heading in the general direction of western Cass County right now near the Enderlin area and the I-29 corridor of northeast South Dakota. Here is a look at that radar as we go away. I'll have updates throughout the day, but for now, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Prepare for gusty wind, large hail. I can't rule out a tornado. These storms will move through, and our risk for storms here in the Fargo area should be reducing as we go a little later in the day. But for now, meteorologist Hutch Johnson, pleasure to talk to you. Stay tuned right here and stay safe.